From sleeping on factory floors to launching rockets into space. From nearly going bankrupt multiple times to becoming the richest person on Earth. From creating electric cars nobody believed in to buying Twitter and renaming it X. This is the real story of Elon Musk, and it's far more complex than you think. Is he a visionary genius saving humanity? Or a ruthless billionaire obsessed with control? Can someone be both brilliant and deeply flawed? Walter Isaacson spent 2 years finding out, and the truth is more fascinating and disturbing than any headline. Hello, everyone. Today we are exploring one of the most talked about books of 2023, Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Isaacson is the master biographer who gave us definitive portraits of Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, and Benjamin Franklin. When Isaacson chooses a subject, the world pays attention. This biography is different from anything written about Musk before. Isaacson had unprecedented access for 2 years. He shadowed Musk at Tesla factories at 3 a.m. He was present during SpaceX rocket launches. He witnessed the chaotic Twitter takeover from inside the company. He interviewed Musk's family, ex-wives, children, employees, and critics. The result is a 600-page portrait that shows us both the genius and the madness. What makes this book essential reading? First, it explains how one person is simultaneously running multiple companies revolutionizing transportation, space exploration, brain-computer interfaces, and social media. Second, it reveals the psychological drivers behind Musk's behavior, tracing them back to a traumatic childhood in South Africa. Third, it honestly confronts the question everyone asks: does the innovation justify the human cost? Isaacson doesn't worship Musk or demonize him. He shows us a deeply complicated human being driven by demons and dreams in equal measure. Someone who can design revolutionary rockets and also send brutal midnight emails firing employees. Someone who genuinely wants to save humanity by making us multiplanetary, but struggles to maintain healthy relationships with the humans closest to him. Why should you read this book? If you're an entrepreneur, you'll learn firsthand how Musk thinks, makes decisions, and manages multiple revolutionary companies. If you're interested in technology, you'll understand the real stories behind Tesla's near-death experiences and SpaceX's impossible achievements. If you're fascinated by human psychology, you'll see how childhood trauma, obsessive drive, and extraordinary intelligence combine to create both miracles and disasters. This isn't a comfortable read. Isaacson doesn't hide Musk's flaws, his terrible treatment of employees, his chaotic personal life, or his increasingly erratic behavior on social media. But he also doesn't diminish the genuine accomplishments: electric vehicles going mainstream, reusable rockets becoming reality, and the audacious vision of making humanity a spacefaring civilization. In today's video, we'll explore Musk's journey from a bullied kid in South Africa to the most influential entrepreneur of our generation. We'll examine his management philosophy, his relationships, and the companies he's built. We'll analyze Isaacson's writing approach and what makes this biography different. And we'll extract practical lessons applicable to anyone pursuing ambitious goals. Spoiler alert, there are no spoilers in a biography of someone still living and making headlines daily. But I will discuss specific events, controversies, and revelations from the book. If you want to experience everything fresh, pause now and read it first. Otherwise, let's dive into the extraordinary, exhausting, and utterly fascinating world of Elon Musk. Childhood and South African years. Elon Musk's story begins in Pretoria, South Africa, in 1971. But this wasn't a privileged, happy childhood despite his family's wealth. Isaacson reveals that young Elon was brutally bullied at school, once beaten so severely he was hospitalized. He was the smallest kid, socially awkward, and lost in his own thoughts about rockets and technology. While other children played, Elon read encyclopedias and science fiction, particularly Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which became his philosophical foundation. The bullying was traumatic, but nothing compared to his home life. Elon describes his childhood as constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing what would trigger an explosion. This created what Isaacson calls Musk's fundamental programming, a hair-trigger stress response and an inability to be at peace. That anxious child still lives inside the billionaire CEO. Family dynamics and complex relationship with his father. Isaacson dedicates significant pages to Elon Musk, Elon's father, and this relationship is crucial to understanding everything that follows. Errol was brilliant, charismatic, and psychologically abusive. He would lecture Elon for hours, belittling him, making him feel worthless. Elon describes these sessions as psychological torture that could last 3 to 4 hours. The complexity deepens. Elon chose to live with his father after his parents divorced, thinking his dad was lonely. He now calls this the worst decision of his life. The verbal and emotional abuse continued for years. Errol was also involved in various controversial business dealings and later had children with his own stepdaughter, which deeply disturbed Elon. This relationship explains so much about Musk's personality. His need to prove himself constantly, his tolerance for verbal combat, his own tendency toward harsh criticism, and what employees call demon mode all trace back to surviving his father's abuse. Isaacson argues that Musk's drive to achieve impossible things stems partly from an internal voice that still sounds like Errol, telling him he'll fail. Moving to Canada and America. At 17, Elon escaped South Africa by leveraging his mother's Canadian citizenship. He arrived in Canada virtually alone with minimal money. This wasn't a comfortable immigrant story. He worked odd jobs, stayed with distant relatives, and eventually enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario. The move represented more than geographical change. It was psychological escape from his father and the apartheid system he despised. In Canada and later America, Musk found environments that rewarded his particular kind of intelligence and risk-taking. He transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, earning degrees in physics and economics, combining the theoretical and practical thinking that would define his career. During these years, Musk began formulating his life philosophy. He identified what he considered humanity's most important problems: sustainable energy, space exploration, and artificial intelligence. Unlike most college students with big ideas, Musk actually committed to solving these problems, no matter how impossible they seemed. PayPal and first success. Musk's first major venture was Zip2, a city guide software company he founded with his brother Kimball. The company succeeded, and Compaq bought it for over $300 million in 1999. Musk received $22 million, which most people would retire on. He immediately invested almost everything into his next venture. That venture was XCOM, an online banking company that eventually merged with Confinity to become PayPal. Here, Isaacson reveals critical details about Musk's management style and the patterns that would repeat throughout his career. Musk was intensely involved in product decisions, worked insane hours, and pushed employees relentlessly. He also made strategic mistakes and was eventually ousted as CEO while on his honeymoon. Despite losing the CEO role, the PayPal sale to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion made Musk enormously wealthy. He received approximately $180 million. Most people would invest conservatively and enjoy life. Musk did the opposite. He immediately began planning his most audacious ventures yet, risking everything he'd earned. Major companies. Their histories: Tesla and the electric vehicle revolution. Contrary to popular belief, Musk didn't found Tesla. Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning started the company in 2003. Musk became the largest investor and chairman in 2004. However, Isaacson details how Musk gradually took complete control, eventually pushing out the founders in a bitter dispute over credit and direction. The Tesla story is one of near-constant crisis. The company almost went bankrupt multiple times. The roads to production was plagued with problems. The Model S development nearly destroyed the company. Musk invested his last dollars during the 2008 financial crisis to keep Tesla alive. He slept on the factory floor, micromanaged every detail, and pushed suppliers and employees to breaking points. But the gamble worked. Tesla proved electric vehicles could be desirable, high performance, and profitable. They forced the entire automotive industry to pivot toward electric. The Model 3 became a bestseller. Tesla's market value eventually exceeded all major traditional automakers combined. Musk's insistence on vertical integration, controlling battery production, software, and charging infrastructure proved strategically brilliant. SpaceX and the Mars Dream. SpaceX began with Musk's frustration that humanity wasn't becoming a spacefaring civilization. After Russia refused to sell him refurbished ICBMs to send mice to Mars, he decided to build rockets himself. Everyone said this was insane. Rockets were government work, too expensive and complex for private companies. Isaacson takes us inside SpaceX's early failures. The first 3 launches failed spectacularly. The company was nearly out of money. The 4th launch had to succeed or SpaceX would die. It succeeded. NASA then awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract, saving the company. SpaceX revolutionized space travel by developing reusable rockets. Watching rockets land vertically after delivering payloads seemed like science fiction, but Musk's engineers made it reality. The cost of space launches dropped dramatically. SpaceX now dominates the commercial launch market and is developing Starship, intended to take humans to Mars. The Mars obsession isn't marketing. Isaacson reveals that Musk genuinely believes humanity must become multiplanetary to survive long-term. Whether through nuclear war, asteroid impact, or AI catastrophe, Musk sees Earth as vulnerable. Mars represents backup for human civilization. This drives every SpaceX decision. Neuralink and artificial intelligence. Neuralink represents Musk's attempt to address what he considers humanity's greatest existential threat, artificial intelligence. Unlike many tech optimists, Musk fears that AI could destroy humanity if not properly controlled. His solution is merging human intelligence with AI through brain-computer interfaces. The technology sounds like science fiction. Tiny threads implanted in brains, reading and stimulating neurons, potentially allowing direct computer control through thought. Initial applications target medical conditions like paralysis, blindness, and neurological disorders. But Musk's ultimate vision is enhancing human cognition to keep pace with AI development. Isaacson documents the intense, often troubling pressure Musk places on Neuralink engineers. Animal testing controversies, impossibly tight deadlines, and Musk's impatience with regulatory processes create constant tension. Yet the technology is advancing, with human trials beginning in 2024. Twitter X purchase and transformation. The Twitter acquisition might be Musk's most chaotic venture. Isaacson had front-row access to the entire process. Musk's impulsive $44 billion offer, his attempts to back out, the legal battle forcing him to complete the purchase, and the subsequent destruction and rebuilding of the company. Within days of taking control, Musk fired approximately 80% of Twitter staff. He eliminated most content moderation teams, changed verification systems, and started rebuilding the platform according to his vision of free speech absolutism. The company was renamed X, reflecting Musk's decades-old obsession with that domain name and his vision of an everything app. The Twitter saga reveals Musk at his most impulsive and controversial. His middle-of-the-night policy changes, reinstatement of ban accounts, public fights with advertisers, and erratic behavior drove away many users and advertisers. Yet he also exposed aspects of the old Twitter's operations that troubled many people, including government pressure on content moderation and selective enforcement of rules. Isaacson shows how Musk applied his standard playbook: cut costs ruthlessly, move impossibly fast, ignore conventional wisdom, and rebuild from first principles. Whether this destroys or transforms social media remains unclear, but the chaos is undeniably Muskian. Musk's work style and demon mode. Isaacson introduces the concept of demon mode, a term Musk's employees use for when he becomes intensely focused, verbally aggressive, and emotionally volatile. During these periods, Musk sends brutal emails, fires people on the spot, makes impossible demands, and creates chaos throughout organizations. Demon mode typically emerges during crises or when Musk perceives insufficient urgency. He believes existential pressure creates peak performance. If teams aren't scared of failing, they won't push hard enough. This philosophy drives his management approach: create constant urgency, demand the impossible, and accept nothing less. The work style is punishing. Musk routinely works 80 to 120-hour weeks. He expects similar commitment from leadership teams. Meetings happen at midnight. Decisions must be made immediately. Bureaucracy is eliminated. Employees describe working for Musk as the most challenging, exhausting, and occasionally rewarding experience of their careers. Isaacson doesn't romanticize this approach. He documents the human cost: burnt-out employees, destroyed relationships, mental health crises, and constant turnover. Yet he also shows undeniable results. Tesla and SpaceX achieved things experts said were impossible, largely because Musk refused to accept conventional limitations. Personal life, marriages, children, relationships. Musk's personal life is messy and often tragic. Isaacson details 3 marriages, multiple relationships, and 11 children. His first son, Nevada, died of SIDS at 10 weeks old, a trauma Musk rarely discusses but which profoundly affected him. Relationships with Musk follow patterns. He falls intensely in love, integrates partners into his work life, then grows distant as work consumes him. Multiple ex-partners describe feeling abandoned, unable to compete with Tesla and SpaceX for his attention. Musk himself admits he's probably not capable of traditional romantic relationships. His children have complicated relationships with their father. Some are close, others estranged. His transgender daughter legally changed her name to disassociate from him, a rejection that deeply hurt Musk. He has more children via surrogacy, planning for them in between board meetings and rocket launches, approaching fatherhood with the same unconventional intensity he brings to everything. Isaacson presents these details not as gossip, but as evidence of Musk's fundamental psychology. He struggles with emotional intimacy, processes relationships transactionally, and seems genuinely puzzled why people can't understand that saving humanity through his company should take precedence over individual feelings. Successes and failures. Musk's career is defined by both spectacular successes and near-catastrophic failures. He's brought 3 companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity, back from the brink of bankruptcy through sheer force of will and last-minute financial maneuvering. He's also made enormous mistakes: production hell with Model 3, the Paydo Guy tweet lawsuit, securities fraud charges from the Funding Secure tweet, and countless smaller controversies. What distinguishes Musk is his response to failure. Where most people would retreat after such public disasters, Musk doubles down. When SpaceX's first 3 rockets exploded, he built a 4th. When Tesla nearly died in 2008, he invested his last money. When critics said reusable rockets were impossible, he landed one. This resilience stems partly from his childhood survival mechanisms and partly from genuine belief in his missions. Musk sees himself in a race against time to solve humanity's existential problems. Personal comfort, social approval, and conventional measures of success don't matter compared to that larger mission. Isaacson suggests this makes Musk simultaneously inspiring and terrifying, capable of extraordinary achievements and terrible personal behavior. Musk's work philosophy First Principles Thinking. Isaacson identifies First Principles Thinking as Musk's most powerful intellectual tool. Instead of reasoning by analogy or accepting conventional wisdom, Musk breaks problems down to fundamental truths and rebuilds solutions from there. This sounds simple but requires ruthless questioning of everything everyone assumes. The classic example: when told rockets were too expensive, Musk didn't accept this. He asked what rockets are actually made of: aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, carbon fiber. He calculated raw material costs at about 2% of typical rocket prices. The rest was manufacturing inefficiency, bureaucracy, and legacy thinking. This insight led to SpaceX's revolutionary approach. Musk applies this everywhere. Why do cars need dealerships? They don't. Sell direct to consumers. Why do tunnels cost billions per mile? They shouldn't. Make boring machines faster and tunnels smaller. Why do battery packs cost so much? Break them down to material costs and redesign manufacturing. This thinking allows Musk to see possibilities invisible to experts trapped in industry assumptions. However, Isaacson notes the downside. First Principles Thinking makes Musk dismissive of expertise and institutional knowledge. He assumes that if something seems inefficient to him after basic analysis, everyone else is stupid. This leads to mistakes when problems are actually more complex than they first appear, as happened repeatedly with Tesla production challenges. Embracing difficulty and risk. Musk actively seeks impossibly difficult problems. Isaacson explains this isn't masochism, it's strategic. Easy problems already have solutions or competitors. Impossible problems have neither, creating opportunities for those willing to attempt them. When everyone says something can't be done, that's Musk's signal to try. The risk tolerance is extraordinary. Musk has bet his entire fortune multiple times. During 2008, facing bankruptcy at both Tesla and SpaceX, he borrowed money from friends for rent while investing his last dollars in the companies. Most wealthy people diversify and protect their assets. Musk concentrates everything on his highest conviction bets. This philosophy extends to his companies. SpaceX lands rockets on drone ships in the ocean, an approach most engineers called impossible. Tesla bet everything on the Model 3, a mass-market vehicle that nearly destroyed the company during production hell. Neuralink is attempting to wire human brains to computers. Each venture carries catastrophic failure risk, which Musk considers preferable to safe mediocrity. Isaacson suggests this risk appetite connects to Musk's psychology. Having survived childhood trauma, business near-death experiences hold less fear. He's already experienced psychological destruction, so business failure feels survivable by comparison. Speed and iteration methodology. Musk operates on compressed timelines that seem delusional to others. He sets impossible deadlines, knowing they'll be missed, because he believes aggressive targets drive maximum effort. A deadline missed by months still arrives years faster than conservative planning would allow. The methodology is build, test, fail, learn, iterate rapidly. SpaceX explodes rockets regularly during testing because Musk would rather learn from real failures than spend years in theoretical analysis. Starship prototypes blow up spectacularly, each explosion teaching lessons immediately applied to the next version. This approach horrifies traditional aerospace engineers but produces faster progress. Tesla applies the same philosophy. Software updates arrive constantly, sometimes with bugs, fixed quickly through over-the-air updates. Manufacturing processes change mid-production run if better approaches are discovered. Musk treats products as perpetual works in progress rather than finished artifacts. The speed obsession means accepting chaos and imperfection. Employees describe constant whiplash as priorities shift and strategies change. But Isaacson documents how this velocity creates competitive advantages. While competitors deliberate, Tesla and SpaceX execute, learn, and iterate past them. Musk as micromanager calling Musk a micromanager understates his involvement. Isaacson reveals that Musk personally reviews engineering drawings, rewrites software code, redesigns parts on factory floors, and questions every significant decision across all his companies. He's not delegating and reviewing results, he's in the details constantly. This drives executives crazy. Musk will call engineers directly, bypassing management chains. He'll cancel projects mid-development if he decides they are unnecessary. He'll demand design changes at 2 a.m. that require teams to scramble. The organizational chart exists more as suggestion than structure. Yet this approach also produces innovation. Musk often spots inefficiencies or possibilities that domain experts miss because he's willing to question everything. His physics background lets him evaluate engineering claims. His manufacturing obsession leads to production breakthroughs. The micromanagement is informed and purposeful, not just controlling. Isaacson presents this as double-edged. Musk's involvement elevates product quality and catches mistakes but also creates bottlenecks, burnout, and frustration. Talented executives leave because they can't operate autonomously. But those who stay often admit they've never worked on more important or innovative projects. Working with employees, Musk's employee relationships are intense and often brutal. Isaacson documents countless instances of Musk firing people on the spot, sending harsh emails, publicly criticizing work, and demanding levels of commitment most consider unreasonable. He has little patience for explanations, excuses, or anything he perceives as bureaucratic thinking. The communication style is direct to the point of cruelty. If Musk thinks someone's work is inadequate, he says so bluntly. If he believes someone isn't essential, they're fired immediately. At Twitter, he laid off thousands via email, eliminating entire departments overnight. Sensitivity to feelings doesn't factor into his decision-making. However, employees who survive and thrive under Musk often develop intense loyalty. They describe working harder and achieving more than they thought possible. Musk's complete commitment to the mission inspires reciprocal dedication. Many say working for Musk was the most difficult and meaningful experience of their careers. The philosophy is simple: hire brilliant people, give them impossible challenges, provide resources and authority, then hold them accountable for results. Musk values problem-solving over credentials, action over discussion, and results over process. This creates environments where talented mavericks flourish and conventional managers struggle. Goal-oriented approach: everything Musk does serve specific goals. Make humanity multiplanetary, accelerate sustainable energy adoption, merge human and artificial intelligence safely. These aren't marketing slogans, they're genuine North Stars guiding every decision. Isaacson emphasizes that understanding Musk requires taking these missions seriously. This goal orientation explains behavior that otherwise seems irrational. Why risk his fortune repeatedly? Because these missions require it. Why work 120-hour weeks? Because time is limited and problems are urgent. Why tolerate chaos and dysfunction? Because conventional organizations move too slowly for what needs accomplishing. The approach creates moral complexity. Musk believes his missions justify significant collateral damage, burnt-out employees, broken relationships, controversial decisions. If making life multiplanetary requires destroying himself and others along the way, he considers that acceptable. The mathematics of saving humanity versus individual suffering always resolves toward the mission. Isaacson questions whether this calculus is sound but presents it honestly. Musk genuinely believes he's in a race to solve existential problems before time runs out. Whether he's right, delusional, or somewhere in between remains open to interpretation. Major projects and technologies. Tesla's transformation of the auto industry. Tesla forced the global automotive industry to abandon a century of internal combustion development and pivot to electric. This cannot be overstated. Every major automaker now has electric vehicle programs because Tesla proved the market exists and traditional cars face obsolescence. Isaacson details how Tesla succeeded where others failed. Previous electric vehicles were compromised, slow, ugly, with limited range. Musk insisted Tesla vehicles be superior to gas cars in every dimension. Faster, safer, better handling, more convenient through charging networks. This required vertical integration controlling batteries, motors, software, and charging infrastructure. The Gigafactory strategy revolutionized battery production. By manufacturing batteries at unprecedented scale, Tesla drove costs down while securing supply. The over-the-air software updates meant vehicles improved after purchase, a completely new paradigm. The direct sales model eliminated dealer markups and created better customer experience. Tesla's valuation often exceeds all traditional automakers combined, which critics call absurd given production volumes. Musk argues Tesla is a technology company, not just a car manufacturer. The autonomous driving development, energy storage business, and software capabilities justify the valuation. Isaacson presents both perspectives, noting that betting against Musk has consistently proven expensive. SpaceX and reusable rockets. Reusable rockets represent SpaceX's most significant achievement. The entire space industry assumed rockets were expendable, too damaged by flight to reuse economically. Musk rejected this assumption through first principles thinking and proved everyone wrong. The development was extraordinarily difficult. Early attempts at landing rockets failed spectacularly, exploding on impact. Engineers doubted whether the approach could work. But Musk insisted, and eventually, Falcon 9 boosters began landing vertically, first on land, then on autonomous drone ships at sea. Watching these landings still seems miraculous. The economic impact is revolutionary. Reusable rockets reduce launch costs by orders of magnitude. SpaceX now dominates commercial launch markets and provides critical services to NASA and the military. The company launches more mass to orbit than all other entities combined. This wouldn't be possible without reusability. Starship takes this further, designed for full reusability including the upper stage. If successful, Starship could reduce cost per kilogram to orbit by another order of magnitude. This is essential for Musk's Mars ambitions, making large-scale transportation to Mars economically feasible. Starlink and global internet. Starlink emerged from Musk's realization that SpaceX needed sustainable revenue to fund Mars missions. The idea: launch thousands of satellites providing global high-speed internet, especially to underserved areas. Critics called it impossible, too expensive, and potential space junk catastrophe. Isaacson documents Starlink's rapid deployment. SpaceX now operates over 5,000 satellites, more than all other satellite constellations combined. The system provides internet to rural areas, ships at sea, disaster zones, and conflict regions. Ukrainian military forces used Starlink extensively after Russia's invasion, demonstrating strategic importance. The project showcases Musk's advantages. SpaceX launches its own satellites cheaply, iterates hardware rapidly, and tolerates failures traditional companies couldn't. Satellites are treated as disposable prototypes, constantly improved and replaced. This approach horrified aerospace traditionalists but works. Starlink also generates controversy around space debris, astronomical observation interference, and Musk's control over critical infrastructure. Isaacson explores these concerns alongside the genuine value Starlink provides to previously unconnected populations. Boring Company and tunnel projects. The Boring Company started as a joke. Musk, frustrated with Los Angeles traffic, tweeted about boring tunnels under cities. Then he actually started a tunneling company, because of course he did. The mission: revolutionize urban transportation through underground tunnel networks. The approach applies Musk's standard playbook to tunneling. Why do tunnels cost billions per mile? Because tunnel boring machines are slow, tunnels are oversized, and projects involve massive bureaucracy. Musk's solution: faster boring machines, smaller diameter tunnels, and streamlined processes. Results have been mixed. The Las Vegas Convention Center loop operates successfully, transporting passengers in Tesla vehicles through underground tunnels. However, the technology hasn't yet achieved the dramatic cost reductions Musk predicted. Critics argue Boring Company is essentially expensive underground roads rather than revolutionary transportation. Isaacson presents Boring Company as Musk's most speculative venture, potentially transformative, or potentially a distraction. The jury remains out on whether this represents genuine innovation or Musk's occasional tendency to underestimate problem complexity. Solar energy and sustainable future Solar City, founded by Musk's cousins and later acquired by Tesla, represents the sustainable energy piece of Musk's vision. The goal: make solar power economically superior to fossil fuels while integrating energy generation, storage, and consumption. Tesla's solar roof tiles aim to make solar panels aesthetically attractive rather than industrial-looking additions to homes. The Powerwall and larger energy storage systems address renewable energy's intermittency problem. When combined with electric vehicles, the vision is complete energy sustainability at individual and grid levels. The solar business has underperformed expectations. Production challenges, installation difficulties, and competitive pressure limited growth. The Solar City acquisition also generated controversy, with some shareholders claiming Musk bailed out his cousin's company inappropriately using Tesla resources. Despite challenges, Isaacson argues the underlying vision remains sound. Sustainable energy requires solving generation, storage, and consumption simultaneously. Tesla is one of few companies attempting all three. Whether execution matches vision remains an ongoing question. Twitter to X transformation and platform rebuilding. The Twitter acquisition represents Musk's most chaotic and controversial project. Isaacson had unprecedented access during the takeover, documenting decisions that shocked the tech industry and polarized public opinion. Musk's diagnosis: Twitter was bloated, inefficient, politically biased in content moderation, and missing opportunities to become an everything app like China's WeChat. His solution: massive layoffs, reduced content moderation, paid verification, and eventual transformation into X, a comprehensive platform for payments, communication, and content. The execution was characteristically chaotic. Musk fired executives immediately, then eliminated about 80% of staff. He made and reversed policy decisions publicly. He reinstated banned accounts, including controversial figures. Advertisers fled, concerned about brand safety. Technical problems multiplied as institutional knowledge disappeared. Yet certain Musk claims proved accurate. Twitter did operate with excessive staff, with many employees admitting they rarely worked full days. The previous verification system was arbitrary. Content moderation showed political biases. Musk's brutal approach revealed uncomfortable truths about the company's operations. Whether X succeeds or fails remains unclear. User numbers fluctuated, advertiser relationships damaged, and competitors emerged. But Musk transformed Twitter more radically in months than previous leadership had in years. The platform survives, evolves, and generates constant controversy, which Musk seems to consider success. Challenges and criticisms. Social media behavior. Musk's presence on X, formerly Twitter, generates constant controversy. Isaacson documents how Musk tweets impulsively, often late at night, sometimes deleting posts hours later. He picks fights with journalists, critics, politicians, and random users. He shares memes, some offensive, others just bizarre. He makes business announcements via tweet rather than formal channels. This behavior has serious consequences. The funding secured tweet about taking Tesla private led to SEC fraud charges, a $40 million settlement, and requirement that lawyers review material tweets. The Pedo Guy tweet directed at a cave rescue diver resulted in a defamation lawsuit. Numerous tweets have moved markets, triggered investigations, and damaged relationships. Musk defends this as authentic communication, refusing PR filters. He believes directly engaging with the public, even controversially, builds connection and trust. His supporters appreciate the unfiltered access. Critics argue it's reckless, unprofessional, and damaging to his companies and stakeholders. Isaacson suggests Musk's social media behavior reflects deeper impulse control issues and need for attention. The same lack of filter that produces innovation also generates scandals. Musk seems unable or unwilling to moderate himself despite repeated negative consequences. Harsh treatment of employees. The human cost of Musk's management approach is substantial. Isaacson documents numerous examples of employees working until physical and mental exhaustion, experiencing anxiety and depression, sacrificing relationships and health. The pressure is relentless, the hours extreme, the criticism harsh. Specific incidents are shocking. Musk firing employees on the spot during factory walks. Sending emails calling work unacceptable without explaining what's wrong. Demanding teams work through weekends, holidays, and family emergencies. Creating cultures where vacation is seen as weakness and boundaries as lack of commitment. Former employees describe working for Musk as simultaneously the best and worst experience of their lives. The mission and innovation are extraordinary, but the personal cost is severe. Many leave burned out, some with lasting trauma. Others develop Stockholm Syndrome-like loyalty, defending Musk's behavior as necessary for the mission. The ethics are complicated. Is it acceptable to push people this hard if they're changing the world? Should adult professionals bear responsibility for choosing to work in these environments? Or does Musk exploit idealism and ambition, extracting value while damaging people? Isaacson presents the questions without definitive answers. SEC and legal problems. Musk's relationship with regulatory authorities is confrontational and problematic. The SEC fraud charges over the funding-secured tweet established a pattern. Musk makes claims or takes actions that violate regulations, faces consequences, agrees to constraints, then violates those constraints. He's been investigated for securities violations, environmental regulations, labor law violations, and more. He treats regulatory oversight as bureaucratic interference rather than legitimate public interest protection. His companies frequently face OSHA complaints, discrimination lawsuits, and environmental violations. Musk's defenders argue regulations often protect incumbents and stifle innovation. His willingness to fight regulatory overreach accelerates progress. Critics counter that rules exist for good reasons and billionaires shouldn't be above the law. The clashes reveal fundamental disagreements about appropriate boundaries between innovation and regulation. Isaacson notes that Musk's legal troubles stem partly from principled disagreement with rules he considers arbitrary, but also from impulsiveness and belief that he knows better than authorities. This combination makes him simultaneously pioneering and legally reckless. Public criticism and his response. As Musk became more prominent and political, criticism intensified. Journalists investigate his companies and personal life. Politicians question his influence. Competitors attack his products. Social media users mock his behavior. Some criticism is fair, some unfair, all infuriates him. Musk responds to criticism badly. He attacks journalists personally, calling them biased or corrupt. He cancels media subscriptions. He picks public fights with politicians and regulators. He encourages his supporters to harass critics. The response often generates more negative attention than the original criticism. The pattern reflects Musk's childhood trauma and need for control. He experiences criticism as attack, triggering defensive and aggressive responses. He cannot ignore criticism or respond proportionally. Every slight demands response. Every criticism requires rebuttal, creating exhausting cycles of conflict. Isaacson suggests this is Musk's most significant personal weakness. His inability to handle criticism gracefully damages relationships, reputation, and sometimes business interests. The thin skin coexists oddly with enormous risk-taking in other domains. Lack of work-life balance. Musk has no work-life balance, and Isaacson documents the consequences. His relationships fail because partners cannot compete with his companies for attention. His children struggle with an often absent father. His health suffers from stress and lack of sleep. His mental state fluctuates between manic productivity and depressive exhaustion. Musk openly admits he's probably incapable of healthy relationships. Work provides meaning, identity, and purpose. Everything else feels secondary or optional. He structures life around company needs, with personal relationships fitting into remaining gaps. This approach destroyed multiple marriages and damaged many relationships. The justification is mission importance. Musk believes he's racing against time to solve existential problems. Personal happiness and healthy relationships are luxuries humanity's survival doesn't afford. This framing allows him to sacrifice himself and others guilt-free in service of larger goals. Critics argue this is rationalization for workaholism and relationship dysfunction stemming from childhood trauma rather than genuine necessity. Perhaps healthy balance would actually improve his effectiveness. But Musk seems incapable of moderation, operating only at extremes of total commitment or complete disengagement. Personal life drama. Musk's personal life provides endless tabloid material. Multiple marriages and divorces, including marrying and divorcing the same woman twice. Children via surrogacy announced casually. Public relationships with celebrities and employees. A transgender daughter who disowned him. More children than most people realize, each adding complexity to family dynamics. Isaacson handles these details respectfully but honestly. The personal chaos reflects Musk's broader patterns: impulsiveness, difficulty with emotional intimacy, prioritizing work over relationships, and treating personal life with the same unconventional approach he brings to business. The human cost is real. Children with limited access to their father. Ex-partners feeling used and discarded. Family members estranged or damaged. Musk himself admitting loneliness despite fame and wealth. The price of changing the world includes personal relationships sacrificed along the way. Whether this is tragic, inevitable, or avoidable depends on perspective. Isaacson presents Musk as someone who perhaps cannot live differently, whose psychology and mission demand total commitment incompatible with normal human connection. This makes him effective at changing industries but damaged in ways money and success cannot repair. Isaacson's writing method and access level. Isaacson shadowed Musk for 2 years with unprecedented access. He attended meetings, rocket launches, factory visits, and was present during the Twitter takeover. He interviewed over 100 people including ex-wives, employees, and critics. This wasn't a sanitized, authorized biography but investigative journalism with insider access. The result is a 360-degree portrait showing Musk's brilliance and cruelty equally. Isaacson connects childhood trauma to adult behavior, explaining how an abused South African child became a billionaire who thrives in crisis. Newly revealed facts. The book exposes how deeply his father's abuse shaped him, with psychological torture sessions lasting hours. We learn Tesla and SpaceX came within days of bankruptcy multiple times. Musk invested his last dollars and borrowed money for rent while saving his companies. We see the chaos of the Twitter acquisition from inside, including the brutal efficiency of firing thousands. We understand his transgender daughter's rejection deeply hurt him. His Mars obsession and AI fears are genuine conviction, not marketing. Most importantly, Demon Mode isn't just tough management but a trauma response triggered by perceived threats. Genius and madness boundary. Isaacson explores whether Musk's brilliance requires his dysfunction. His first principles thinking comes from intelligence, but his willingness to risk everything and work inhumanly connects to childhood trauma that normalize crisis. The book asks uncomfortable questions. Should we celebrate success built on personal destruction? Is Musk a hero advancing humanity or a cautionary tale of untreated trauma? Isaacson presents evidence for both without preaching. Personal cost of innovation. The human price is substantial. Destroyed marriages, estranged children, burnt-out employees suffering anxiety and depression. Musk himself is wealthy but profoundly lonely, successful but unable to quiet his mind or maintain intimate relationships. The book forces us to confront whether technological progress justifies human suffering and who decides if that trade-off is worthwhile. Visionary leadership and dark sides. Musk inspires people with compelling visions of multi-planetary civilization and sustainable energy. But visionary leadership becomes toxic when the mission justifies any behavior. Criticism is dismissed as lack of commitment. Employees are pushed beyond limits in service of the vision. Comparison with other geniuses. Isaacson compares Musk to Steve Jobs, both brilliant, abrasive, and reality distorting. Jobs focused on perfect design and user experience, Musk on engineering and physics problems. Jobs built one revolutionary company, Musk runs multiple simultaneously. Like Thomas Edison, Musk is relentless inventor and brutal competitor. Like Nikola Tesla, he dreams of transforming civilization through technology. Unlike Tesla, Musk combines vision with business execution. The pattern across history. Transformative figures often combine genius with difficult personalities. The question is whether the difficulty is necessary or just correlated. Book's balance. Praise and criticism. Isaacson's greatest achievement is balance. He documents Musk's revolutionary accomplishments, making electric vehicles mainstream, proving reusable rockets work, forcing entire industries to change direction. But he equally documents the cruelty, impulsiveness, and damage. The book neither worships nor demonizes Musk. It presents a complicated human being capable of extraordinary achievement and terrible behavior simultaneously. Readers can admire the accomplishments while condemning the methods. Comparison with other Isaacson biographies. Isaacson's Steve Jobs biography focused on product perfectionism and reality distortion field. The Leonardo da Vinci book explored how curiosity and interdisciplinary thinking produce genius. Einstein examined how theoretical thinking revolutionizes understanding. The Musk biography is darker and more psychologically complex. Where Jobs had difficult personality serving aesthetic vision, Musk has trauma driving existential mission. The book is less celebratory, more cautionary than previous Isaacson works. Strengths and weaknesses. Strengths. Unparalleled access produces insider details impossible otherwise. Psychological analysis adds depth beyond business reporting. honest portrayal of both genius and dysfunction, compelling narrative despite being non-fiction. Weaknesses, sometimes too sympathetic to Musk's justifications, could examine systemic issues more deeply rather than focusing on individual psychology. The real-time writing means no long-term perspective on recent events like Twitter. Who should read this? Entrepreneurs learn how Musk thinks, takes risks, and builds companies, though they should question whether his methods are necessary or simply his particular dysfunction. Technology enthusiasts gain insider understanding of Tesla, SpaceX, and other ventures' real stories beyond PR narratives. Biography fans get Isaacson's signature deep research and compelling storytelling applied to the most controversial figure in modern business. Leadership students see both what visionary leadership can achieve and what it can cost. The book is masterclass in both inspiration and warning about leadership's human dimensions. Anyone interested in innovation, psychology, or how exceptional individuals shape the world will find this essential reading. Just prepare for a complicated, sometimes disturbing portrait rather than a simple success story. Top 7 key takeaways. First principles thinking is the most powerful intellectual tool. Don't accept conventional wisdom or reason by analogy. Break problems down to fundamental truths and rebuild solutions from there. Ask why things cost what they do, why processes work as they do, and whether any of it is actually necessary. Second, extraordinary achievement requires extraordinary risk. Musk bet his entire fortune multiple times. Playing it safe means accepting mediocrity. If you want to change the world, you must risk everything. But understand this means potentially losing everything too. Third, speed is a competitive advantage. Move fast, test quickly, learn from failures, and iterate rapidly. Aggressive deadlines drive maximum effort. Missing an ambitious deadline still beats meeting a conservative one. Velocity matters more than perfection in most cases. Fourth, maintain unwavering commitment to your vision. Musk's Mars obsession seemed crazy for decades but never wavered. When everyone says something is impossible, that might signal opportunity. Visionary commitment inspires others and attracts resources. Fifth, recognize success has personal costs. Musk achieved unprecedented business success while destroying relationships and damaging his mental health. You cannot have everything. Choose consciously what you're willing to sacrifice rather than pretending balance is always possible. Sixth, obsession drives achievement but destroys well-being. The same intensity that builds revolutionary companies prevents healthy relationships and personal peace. This isn't necessarily a trade everyone should make. Consider whether you want Musk's accomplishments at Musk's cost. Seventh, individuals can change the world. One person convinced electric vehicles could be desirable and transformed the entire automotive industry. One person proved reusable rockets work and revolutionized space access. The future isn't predetermined, it's shaped by those willing to attempt the impossible. Practical lessons from Musk apply first principles thinking to your work. Question every assumption, especially in your industry. The things everyone knows are true often aren't. Set impossibly ambitious goals. You'll likely miss them but achieve more than conservative planning would allow. Focus on speed of iteration over perfection. Build, test, learn, improve, repeat. Real-world feedback beats theoretical planning. Be willing to bet big on your highest conviction ideas, but only after doing the fundamental analysis, not based on wishful thinking. Recognize that changing industries or the world requires sacrifice. Decide consciously what you're willing to give up rather than stumbling into unsustainable situations. Don't copy Musk's interpersonal dysfunction. His achievements came despite, not because of, his cruel treatment of people. You can be demanding without being abusive. How to use this book. Read it as case study in both what to emulate and what to avoid. Study Musk's strategic thinking, engineering approach, and risk management while rejecting his interpersonal cruelty and work-life imbalance. Use it to understand how revolutionary companies actually get built, beyond the sanitized success stories. The chaos, near failures, and desperate struggles matter more than polished narratives. Examine your own relationship with work, ambition, and success. Are you pursuing meaningful goals or running from inner demons? Musk's story forces reflection on motivations and costs. Share it with teams to discuss leadership, innovation, and organizational culture. The book provides rich material for conversations about what kind of companies and leaders we want to create. Similar book recommendations. Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson explores another brilliant, difficult innovator who transformed industries. Jobs focused on design and user experience, where Musk focuses on engineering and physics, but both combined vision with brutal management. The Innovators by Walter Isaacson examines how collaborative teams created the digital revolution. It provides useful counterpoint to Musk's individual genius narrative, showing innovation often emerges from groups. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight tells Nike's founding story with raw honesty about struggles, failures, and personal costs of building an iconic company. Knight's more humble, reflective tone contrasts with Musk's intensity but addresses similar entrepreneurial themes. The Everything Store by Brad Stone chronicles Jeff Bezos and Amazon's rise. Bezos shares Musk's long-term thinking, customer obsession, and willingness to sacrifice short-term profits for strategic advantage, though with different personal style. Final thought: so is Elon Musk a genius, a madman, or both? Isaacson's answer is clearly both. Musk's intelligence, work ethic, and vision are extraordinary. His cruelty, impulsiveness, and emotional dysfunction are equally real. He's simultaneously advancing human civilization and damaging people around him. The uncomfortable truth is we don't yet know Musk's ultimate legacy. If SpaceX makes humanity multiplanetary, he'll be remembered as one of history's most important figures. If Tesla accelerates sustainable energy adoption by decades, he transforms human relationship with the planet. These are genuine possibilities, not fantasies. But if his companies collapse, if his methods prove unsustainable, if the human cost outweighs the achievements, history will judge him differently. The story isn't finished, which makes this biography fascinating but incomplete. What we can say definitively: Musk proves individuals still can change the world if willing to pay the price. Whether that price is worth paying, and whether others should follow his path, remains the central question readers must answer themselves. Future projects to watch: Starship development continues toward Mars missions. Full reusability would revolutionize space access and make Mars colonization economically feasible. Tesla's full self-driving technology progresses toward genuine autonomy. Success would transform transportation and urban planning globally. Neuralink's human trials begin, potentially allowing paralyzed people to control computers with thoughts and eventually enhancing human cognition. X-platform evolution under Musk's control continues reshaping social media, possibly toward his everything app vision. Each project carries potential for revolutionary impact or spectacular failure. Betting against Musk has historically proven expensive, but past success doesn't guarantee future results. If this deep dive into Elon Musk's life and Walter Isaacson's biography added value, hit that like button and subscribe for more book analysis. I break down the most important books in business, technology, and biography so you can learn faster. Coming next, I'll analyze Isaacson's Steve Jobs biography, comparing and contrasting these two revolutionary but difficult leaders. You'll see fascinating parallels and crucial differences. Drop a comment below. What do you think of Elon Musk? Which of his companies interests you most? Do you think his methods are justified by results, or does the human cost outweigh the achievements? I read every comment and your perspectives matter. Thank you for watching. Remember, you don't need to copy Musk's dysfunction to learn from his strategic thinking. Take the lessons that serve your goals, leave the toxicity behind. Until next time, keep learning and growing.